FM News Talk 97.1.
On demand audio. Allman in the morning. Common Sense Radio.
Good morning, you bunch of drunks.
Hello, everybody. Yeah, we were trying to get Pam Geller on with us up there in New York, and I had Carl. I said, let's do her live because sometimes we'll have to tape it because of her schedule. And I want to do her live this morning because it would be because we were going to talk to her before Obama spoke, and so I wanted to get her opinion after he spoke. I didn't want to be outdated, and we're trying to get a hold of her. We couldn't figure out why we couldn't get a hold of her. And turns out it's because it's Yom Kippur, or Yom Kippur, as Carl called it. And apparently, in Yom Kippur, Jewish people are not to use any kind of electronic devices or phone calls or computers or anything, email, none of that stuff. So I don't know. I don't know whether that's the case. In fact, maybe I should invite Jewish people to violate Yom Kippur by calling me and straightening me out. I dare you to call me. I don't know. Somebody who is somebody who is not Jewish can call, and who knows a little bit about Yom Kippur can call and straighten us out and tell us what you can and cannot do today. Because I can't solicit Jewish people to call me because I'd be soliciting them to violate the tenets of their faith.
Find out for you.
Oh, Google's unreliable. I want to hear it from somebody who knows.
Okay.
Somebody knows. All right. So ABC News, NBC News interviews Libyan president, and he says the video had nothing to do with anything in
This
Libya.
was a pre-planned attack, not
No doubt.
in reaction to a controversial movie?
Yes, I have no doubt about this.
Do you think the movie had anything to do
Of
with
course.
this attack on the consulate?
Not on this attack. Not on this attack. It has nothing to do with this.
So there's so much confusion going on because, of course, Obama is saying, we'll get to that in a second, is saying it's all about the video. Well, he's confusing, too. So what is all the confusion leading to? Well, it's leading to individuals who are like Romney, Ryan, and a U.S. Senator from Wyoming saying, this is a cover-up of what's happening in Libya.
In an interview with Fox News' Carl Cameron, GOP presidential nominee Mitt Romney and running mate Paul Ryan accused the Obama White House of, quote, not coming clean on the events surrounding the murder of U.S. Ambassador to Libya, Chris Stevens, and 3 other Americans on September 11th.
I think they want to do their very best to keep the people of America from understanding exactly what happened. We expect candor. We expect transparency, particularly as it relates to terrorism.
So Obama won't call it terrorism. And, in fact, he's on The View, and as he was yesterday, he was on The View. Oh, by the way, real quickly with Ryan and Romney, they're in Ohio, and Romney had just introduced Paul Ryan, and they were chanting Ryan, 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 and Romney corrected the crowd. Listen to this.
It's quite a guy, isn't it, Paul Ryan? That's something? Wait a second. Romney Ryan, Romney Ryan, Romney Ryan.
He was like, hey, what about me? You know? Because he introduced Ryan. They're all chanting Ryan. He's like, no. It's Romney Ryan. That was kind of interesting there. All right. So anyway, Obama goes on The View, and this is what he said about the video on The View.
The best way to marginalize that kind of speech is to ignore it.
Yeah. So what does he do? He goes before the entire world at the UN and, well, talks about the video. Yeah.
In every country, there are those who find different religious beliefs threatening. In every culture, those who love freedom for themselves must ask themselves how much they're willing to tolerate freedom for others. And that is what we saw play out in the last 2 weeks. There's a crude and disgusting video. Sparked outrage throughout the Muslim world.
Yeah, so much for ignoring the video, huh, President Obama? Anyway, I thought it was really interesting about the speech. He did a couple times where he talked about things. He made some, I thought some of the statements he made, I'm totally on board with, you know. I mean, he stood up for free speech, but then, you know, I think equivocated it with a bunch of other stuff, as John Bolton pointed out, but we'll talk more about that. But anyway, I was curious about the people who weren't clapping when the president said something like this.
On this, we must agree. There is no speech that justifies mindless violence.
But if you look at the crowd, there are some people who aren't clapping at all. Now, I guess there's a possibility they didn't understand English, but it was being translated for them, by the way. But I'll leave open that possibility. Then the other possibility is some of these guys said, well, actually, there is some speech that justifies mindless violence. So they're right on board with mindless violence, some of those people at the UN headquarters there. All right, back to John Bolton. Bolton was concerned about the speech from the standpoint of equivocation. Here you go.
The president comes out in favor of tolerance. There's your breaking news. The problem with the speech was that it was infused with the fallacy of moral equivalency, that there's sort of extremism and intolerance everywhere, and it's all the same.
Yeah, and you know what? He did do that. In fact, when he talked about that the future does not belong to those who slander the prophet, you got to remember that was part of a longer paragraph in his speech. Here it was.
And we cannot afford to get it wrong. We must seize this moment. And America stands ready to work with all who are willing to embrace a better future. The future must not belong to those who target Coptic Christians in Egypt. It must be claimed by those in Tahrir Square who chanted, Muslims, Christians, we are one. The future must not belong to those who bully women. It must be shaped by girls who go to school and those who stand for a world where our daughters can live their dreams just like our sons.
All right, so and then eventually he gets to the futures that belong to those who slander the Prophet Muhammad. Now, keep in mind, in that sentence, he's saying that slandering the Prophet Muhammad is the same as targeting Coptic Christians. I'm talking about, he says targeting. Well, actually, they were killing them and burning their churches. He's a master at fluffing up language to erase the harshness of the act, isn't he? He won't use the words terrorism. He'll use words like targeting Coptic Christians when the fact of the matter is they're killing them. And he also keep in mind, he didn't use, notice how he didn't use the word oppressing women. He used the word bullying women, which is, I think, interesting because clearly he's speaking to a lot of representatives of countries that are oppressing women. It's more than bullying women. It's oppressing women. But he won't use that statement. He won't use that word oppression. I wonder why. But anyway, to Bolton's point, he totally compares slandering the Prophet Muhammad with oppressing women and killing Coptic Christians. And that's where you get the anger that a lot of us feel when we watch the speech like that is, yeah, okay, so you defended free speech, but then you turn around and equivocate and apologize and smooth over radical Islamic acts. That's the problem that a lot of people have with the speech yesterday. As much as there were some good points of it, in my opinion, they were erased by his constant equivocation, and embarrassingly so. He also said he'd stand up for anybody who criticized him, and that also got a mixed round of applause because some of those people obviously don't like their leaders criticized. It's a weird mix up there at the UN. 969-9797, 866-455-9797. Yes, our update on the double rainbow guy. Straight ahead.